Kim Kim na sadhyati, kalpalateva vidya. A Sanskrit maxim which means education will provide everything like kalpavriksha, a divine tree which bestows everything you ask for. Paropakarya phalanti vrikshaha. Another Sanskrit saying means trees give fruits for the sake of others. That is the greatness of the trees. To give is the way of life for them. A small seed sprouts and then rises to be a creeper, or may grow into a gigantic tree which offers shade, fruits, and gives shelter for many living beings. While a single tree on its own immensely benefits the mankind, think about the jungle where millions of different kinds of trees exist together for the well-being of humanity. Our story has a profound significance with the tree and forest. Both are interrelated to the progress of the human race. Both symbolize greenery, which denotes the life, the living, the eternity. This fate has every reason to be celebrated. These are the children of the forest, living far away from the so-called civilized exploiters. Their lives, traditions, and rituals have been exploited for centuries. They were displaced, and the hamlets were forcibly vacated due to many reasons. Their lives were ever so miserable till the Forest Rights Act came into existence. The act is a boon for them. It really brings the light into their lives. This legislative measure is an outcome of the relentless effort and persistent commitment of Kishore Chandra Deo, the chief of Kurupan dynasty. The greatest tree is the metaphor for Kishore Chandra Deo. He is the tree we are talking about, who offers shade for the needy, who fights for the betterment of the tribals, and who has risen and grown for the sake of tribal well-being. Once the seed that was sown long back, he is the tree now, whose ripe fruits are ready.
15 Sri Kishore Chandra Deo.
With your permission, sir, as far as housing is concerned, 60 lakh houses under the Indira Awas Yojana scheme have been allotted, and only during 2008 and 2009, 2.39 lakh houses, dwelling units, have been allotted to minorities, only during the year 2008 and 2009. So, the amount of money for each of this dwelling unit was also increased during the last budget, and banks have also been instructed to give loans in addition for completion of these dwelling units at various levels. As far as industrial development and growth is concerned, the SEZs have facilitated incremental investment of rupees 90,000 crores. So, but the UPA government has been very firm and clear on this aspect, that SEZs will be created only with the consent of respective state governments, and land acquisition will be done only with the consent of the concerned people and those of the state.
The Kurupam dynasty had once been losing its kings at a tender age consistently. Kishore Chandra Deo's father, late Raja Veerabhadra Deo, expired at the age of 32. His father, Vairicharla Suryanarayana Deo, also died at the age of 29. When Veerabhadra Deo died accidentally, his son Kishore Chandra Deo was only 5 years. After the sad demise of Raja Veerabhadra Deo, the queen Shobhalata Devi took her family to Madras. She raised her family there with high morals and good attitude. She always believed in simple and humble lifestyle. Her ambition was to fulfill the promises of her husband through their children. She wanted to serve the poor community dwelling in the hills.
1955 January 14th we reached Madras because my husband wanted to educate all my children here, especially my son for Telugu. So he passed away and there was no chance for us to do anything.
Her noble endeavor was blessed. Up to her expectation, the Raja in the making, Vairicharla Kishore Chandra Deo, rose to the occasion magnificently.
So from the beginning, 5 o'clock, he used to get up and go play tennis with other sister, come back, and 7 o'clock go to the college, Tambaram, all the way, and the first go up to this Mambalam, but it was too crowded, so he used to go to Gindi, from Gindi to by train to Tambaram, from Tambaram walking from station to his college. And those days, you know, the Christian college, I used to, they say that children get spoiled if you give them money, this and all that. So I used to give him 1 rupee only.
Finally, the moment arrived. Kishore Chandra Deo completed his education and grew up according to his mother's expectations. He did his BA in economics and PG in political science. When he got married in 1970, he returned to Kurupam to look after his subjects.
He did his MA, then got married to the Rajkumari of Daspalla. And after marriage also I didn't know whether they will like to go to Kurupam or not. But first thing when we went to Kurupam, they just stayed there for about 8 years. After that he joined politics.
First, he got actively involved in cultivation. He excelled in agriculture and thus received the Best Farmer Award. He even ventured into dairy farming and other agro-based and agro-related fields.
Agriculture was something which was totally new to me. I had to learn, understand, pick it up. And in the 3rd year of my agriculture, I could produce the highest yield of paddy per acre in one of the varieties in one of my plots, for which I was given the first prize in the state of Andhra Pradesh. I enjoyed agriculture. I did it for about 7-8 years. And in fact, I became a seed supplier for the state government for some time. I got a lot of seeds from Rajendranagar University, from Cuttack Rice Research Center. And in small plots, you see, first I would see which one suited our climate and this situation. And then I would develop those seeds and supply to the government. I did that for a few years. In fact, I was the one who introduced high-yielding varieties of paddy in this area.
The landmark event of 1973 throws more light on this great king. The Land Sealing Act had come into existence. Kishore Chandra Deo, with the consent of his mother, decided to distribute their royal assets for the sake of the poor and needy. It was a royal gesture towards the needy subjects. Truly an act of generosity shown by a great king.
Vairi challa, కొండదొర వీరవర శత్రుహర కొండదొర వీరవర శత్రుహర వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల పాండవ వంశాంకుర పాలిత జన శుభంకర వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల ప్రజాసేవ దురంధర ఆస్థిత జన మందిర వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల కొండదొర వీరవర వైరి చల్ల కొండదొర శత్రుహర వైరి చల్ల జయ హో జయ హో జయ హో జయ హో వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల వైరి చల్ల యుద్ధనీతి విశాలరా రాజనీతి కోవిదా వశిష్ఠ గోత్ర ఛత్రమా కురపా జయ దుర్గమా గిరిజన భూనాయక దేశభక్తి దీపికా వైరి చల్ల 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 వైరి చల్ల
I and my mother, in both our names, we could actually retain 35 acres of land each. So we had 70 acres of land in the family, and both I and my mother put together, and we surrendered between 5,000 and 6,000 acres of land to the government. In fact, a lot of land in many of these areas, I did not take the compensation for the government, requesting them to give it to the poor farmers who are tilling that land.
Sacrificing 6,000 acres of agricultural land is not a simple thing. It requires kingly courage and kind-heartedness. He is loved as a king, though he has no regal power in that region. Though he is from a royal family, but post-independence, all he was left with was his family's inheritance, the many assets and properties which he generously gave away to the poor. The king at heart, Kishore Chandra Deo, lovingly represents the Kondadora community, which he is an integral part of, according to available records, reports and gazette, tracing back his roots.
Vairichala was a title which was given to Sannyasi Dora, the founder of our estate, sometime in the early 17th century, in the year 1635 or so. And since then, because we were chiefs of these areas, my ancestors were the chiefs, so the Dora was replaced by Raju. Raju was basically a term used to identify the chiefs among the Kondadoras. And Vairichala is a title that was bestowed upon him. Vairichala means destroyer of the enemy, sword to the enemy. And we have been using that now. And Vairichala is actually the term which identifies our dynastic lineage.
His vast political career spans about 35 years, from 1977 till date. He was barely 30 years old when he was first elected to the Lok Sabha. From then on, the political life of Kishore Chandra Deo took many turns. That was the time when the political scenario was under great upheaval.
From Srinagar district, we had two ministers. One minister was local of Lakshman Das Garu, another one was Vasiredi Krishnamurthy Naidu Garu, both in Vengal Raw's cabinet. And the Srikakulam MP was Bondepalli Rajgopal Rao Garu. So you see, all three of them, in fact, Bondepalli Rajgopal Rao Garu and Lakshman Das Garu were colleagues of my father. My father knew them very well. Krishnamurthy Naidu Garu was a little more junior, but he was also well connected with our family. So apparently, they must have suggested my name to Vengal Rao Garu. So when 77 elections were announced, both of them came and met me, and then they said the chief ministers wanted to meet me at Hyderabad. So I went to Hyderabad, met the chief minister Vengal Rao Garu. Then he requested that I should contest on a Congress party ticket from the Parvatipuram Lok Sabha seat. But at the same time, that was my first election, which I remember, I think I won it by 31,000 votes, which was not a big margin in those days. So that is when my political career began.
His victorious effort of bringing the steel plant to Visakhapatnam is a memorable moment of the region. There was a political tussle between Biju Patnaik and Kishore Ji on Visakha Steel. Biju Patnaik was trying to take the steel plant away from Andhra Pradesh, but Kishore Chandra Deo strongly resisted. With his persistent efforts, the plant was eventually brought to Vizag.
I had the privilege of initiating the ground leveling work, which was the first work with regard to Visakhapatnam steel plant. This happened in the year 1979. It was in the month of September, October that the leveling tenders were first decided for 9 reaches. So this is something which I am very proud of. No matter which I had first raised in Parliament, ultimately, ironically, I became the Minister of State under the same Mr. Biju Patnaik, who was the Cabinet Minister. He was very magnanimous. He was leaders of those days had a different kind of culture and understanding.
He chaired a number of committees. He played a crucial role to bring out Rural Employment Bill. His greatest achievement is to chair the Joint Selection Committee appointed on Forest Rights Bill for providing rights to tribals who were being denied justice since several centuries. Right from the colonial rule to post-independence, the rights of tribals were not being settled. Now, post-Forest Rights Bill, nearly 8.5 crore tribals living across the country are benefiting from this legislation.
But the greatest achievement for me was when I was made chairman of the Joint Select Committee on the Forest Rights Bill. This was a bill which was introduced in Parliament and it was sent to a Joint Select Committee, of which Madam Sonia Gandhi ji made me the chairman. This was to do with giving rights to tribals, a right which was denied for nearly 100 years.
He had 2 breaks in his political career with a span of 4 years. He utilized the available time productively to pen some literary works. After delimitation, his constituency stretched across 4 districts, which he won with a thumping majority of 1.93 lakhs. He was perplexed with the allegation that he doesn't belong to a scheduled tribe community. A lawyer filed a petition in the Andhra Pradesh High Court before the election results were out. The petition, which was not admitted by the court, questioned Mr. Deo's scheduled tribe status.
In fact, referred to by the then collector to the RDO. It came down to the Tahsildar, and the Tahsildar gave a report in my favor. RDO also gave a report in my favor. It went up to the collector.
But everything is settled now, and the facts are as clear as crystal. After that, there was a buzz that he was going to be elected for the post of Lok Sabha Speaker, supposedly the front runner for the post. He was himself surprised about this rumor, though. He never hid the facts when this rumor was doing the rounds. On the personal front, he is blessed with a happy family. His wife Preeti is fond of painting and organizes exhibitions of her own artworks. He has a daughter and a son who are doing well in their respective careers. He likes Indian and Western classical music, and there is an artist in him, though many people do not know about his multifaceted skills. He learnt music, started with the flute, after which he mastered piano and violin. He passed 4th grade from Trinity College of London. He used to play tennis and tried his hand at table tennis as well.
My mother was very particular and keen that all of us learn some kind of music and that we play games. So near our house in Madras, around every street corner they have this music places where they teach music. So initially there was a place called Scintilla Kreations very near our house. maybe few hundred yards away. So initially I used to go there, and my first instrument that I learned was the flute. So there was a Carnatic music that I learned. It was flute, and at the same place I learned how to play the violin also. And after some time, I also started learning the piano, Western classical. There was a Goan teacher who used to come home and teach me and all my sisters this lessons in piano. And side by side I was learning Carnatic music with flute and violin also. And this every year, examiners used to come from the Trinity College of Music, London, sometime in the winter months. There were two music colleges, Royal College of London and Trinity College. So I had passed the 4th grade in piano, that's intermediate, from the Trinity College of Music, London. As far as games are concerned, I used to play tennis. I used to go to Egmore Stadium, where a Telugu gentleman, one Mr. Ramarao, used to give coaching.
He likes touring various places around the world. His tastes range from our own local tourist spots to foreign locations. He is a good chef too. He likes to prepare mouth-watering dishes for his family. The yummy tastes are all-time favorites of his whole family. He is a strong believer in God. Spirituality should be in the mind, not in performing rituals. It should elevate you from this material world. Meditation will deepen concentration, so he follows it.
Of course, I believe in God, but spirituality, according to me, is not in rituals. Spirituality is in the mind. So, God is there. See, after all, what is God? God is that force which makes the sun rise and set, which makes the earth revolve. We call that force, that cosmic force, is God. So you can definitely some kind of a extra force is there, power is there, and that is God.
In the mid-80s, he developed an interest towards astrology too. Many are frivolous on this subject, as it is based on certain calculations of planetary motions. No horoscope prediction has an exception for any rule. But given his busy schedule, he has no time to devote for this hobby now. Talking about morality, he feels ethical values are needed now more than before. He admires the great gurus for their moral preaching. He believes that Gandhi has become more popular than ever before. As Mahatma had made unity amidst diversity, he believes that Hinduism is a way of life. Youth have to inculcate morals from all great preachings.
The Hindu religion is more of a philosophy, and the greatest advantage of Hinduism that it has been able to assimilate from different religions, different cultures, from different races, and adapt themselves into our way of life. It's a way of Hinduism is a way of life. And so we in India must realize that we have to coexist, and we have to be proud of universe of unity in our diversity, and not work for uniformity in all aspects of our life. So this is the basic message which I'd like our youth to learn and inculcate.
His old friends are very proud of having such a great personality as their close associate.
He was always a very unassuming, very quiet, and extremely sensitive and gentle human being. That is how I describe him as a person. And even in college, he took Telugu as a second language, and he was very serious about it. So I asked him, I said, why are you doing Telugu as a second language? You are living in Tamil Nadu. He said, no, I come from Andhra. I belong to a place called Kurupam, and we have our properties, estate there. So I someday want to go back and work in that place. This was when he was in BA. Then I asked him, what would you do there? He said, I want to get into politics and I want to help my people. It's a very poor area and I want to help them. And I little imagined that city living youngster like him would go one day. He went and spent 7 years in Kurupam after college. He did the farming there, improved his land, and lived in that place. Understood his background better. And one fine day I hear that he is going to stand for elections. These are all surprises because none of this was seen in Kishore when I was his friend. He had so much of resolution, we didn't realize as a friend, but realized later. And you can't get a more honest and good human being than him in politics.
Mr. Kishore Chandra Deo is not a normal politician. You know, as I said, he's a very decent, very dignified, very sober, very pleasant human being. Of course, he's a politician. He's in politics. He's been in politics for over 30 years. But he's maintained a very high reputation for decency, for dignity, for honesty, for integrity. And it's a great privilege for me to count Kishore Chandra Deo. He's made major contributions. The Forest Rights Act of 2006, which is one of the most revolutionary pieces of legislation to protect the rights of tribals. He has played a very important role in the crafting of that act. And he's a very good friend of mine. He's a very close personal friend. We are working on many issues, including this whole issue of bauxite mining in the Araku area, the Paderu ITDA. And he and I share the same views that the mining of bauxite in the Paderu ITDA would be detrimental for the livelihoods of the local tribal communities.
He is a musician, sportsman, chef, farmer, a great king, sincere politician, ray of hope for the suppressed, soft-spoken, simple and humble. And the list goes on. That is the greatness of Kishore Chandra Deo. The Congress party recognized his ability and appointed him as member of the Congress Working Committee in 2007, which is the highest decision-making body of the party. First elected to Parliament in 1977, he has been re-elected to the Lok Sabha 5 times so far and has also held 1 term in the Rajya Sabha. He was a Minister of State for Steel, Mines and Coal in the Central Cabinet in 1979-80. On 12th July 2011, he was once again sworn in as a Cabinet Minister in the Union Cabinet. Holding the portfolios of Tribal Affairs and Panchayati Raj. A return to the Union Council of Ministers after 31 years.
That a country which had enjoyed, so we had recorded a continuous economic growth, a GDP growth of 9% for the last 4 years, and despite the economic meltdown, we still continue to maintain a growth of 7%. So the inflation rate has come down. And today, sir, I think we'll realize the wisdom and prudence with which the late Indraji had nationalized the banks in 69-70. And I appeal to this august house, to all members over here, to look at terrorism as a national issue which we all have to deal with in a united manner.
Between 2004 and 2009, it was very, very eventful tenure for me. That was the tenure where I was chairman of the Privilege Committee of Parliament, where I had to deal with several ethical matters, several inquiry committees that were set up during that particular period of time. I was also member of the Rural Development Standing Committee, and though in the quota system, chairmanship went to Mr. Kalyan Singh of the BJP party. In fact, the standing committee report on of rural development on the National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, that report was, I played a major role. Mr. Kalyan Singh called me and said, "You are the senior most member of the party, and when something good is being done, you being the senior most member, you write whatever you want and I'll get it passed." So I, along with 3 or 4 other members, took a lot of interest. I had a lot of support from also members from the left parties, from some BJP members, and it was based on that unanimous report that we presented to Parliament that the NREGA scheme came into being. So that was, I think, a major achievement.
Muscle power and money never played any role in his constituency. Even though he hasn't any money, people love him and want him to represent them, and they never want to lose such a sincere leader.
Well, the MPs have been referred to the Privilege Committee, not for taking bribes, but for bringing those notes and placing them on the table of the House. This is a serious contempt of the House.
Not only did he play a crucial part in bringing out the Forest Rights Act, he was also involved in Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme.
And I think Kishore came in 1971, the next election after that. And we became very good friends from the moment he came. He was much younger than me, of course. I was always impressed with him. He was clear-headed and articulated well, and I think represented his area and his constituency and his state very well.
For him, being a minister to serve the most suppressed and depressed communities of the country are a most satisfying and privileged honor.
Money and muscle have not played a role here, at least since I have got into politics. I have lost 3 elections. I have not lost any election because I had no money with me, nor have I won any election only because I've had money with me. Money is not a factor. Muscle is not a factor in my constituency. So you see, this is a different kind of a constituency altogether. People are extremely warm, extremely understanding. They are aware. The social and political awareness is very, very sharp.
He inherited moral values from his mother. Now, he is inculcating them in his children. He strongly believes that all the traditions and ethics should be preserved forever by passing them through generations. His daughter Shruti is a lawyer and political worker. She has taken profound influence from her father. She remembers how she has grown up amidst the political environment of the national capital. She never forgets her roots. Even though she was brought up far away from Andhra Pradesh, she has learned the Telugu language with utmost passion.
I think we've had a very privileged childhood, despite the fact that I think not even out of choice, out of compulsion, we have always also used the public transport. We've gone to college, by the U special buses in Delhi, which are very crowded, which take a lot of time, 1 hour going, 1 hour coming. But that is no difficulty compared to what our people back home face. So I feel that it has been very privileged, despite the fact that in a global or an urban setting, people might see it as big sacrifices. I think we must look at it as the opportunity we've had to come to Delhi and to, for him to speak for the people.
His son, Kishore Deo, is working with an insurance company. Like a trusted disciple, he follows his father's footsteps. But for now, he is busy with his job. But who knows, someday he may get into the pious work of public service.
I was working for a bank earlier. I was there in Citibank for about 9 years. I'm working with an insurance company now, and I'm very happy. I'm doing well in this life. I'm very attached to my roots. I go back to Kurpam as many times as I can. I really enjoy going back there. In fact, recently I had taken my daughter there for the first time. So I'm very attached to the place, and who knows in the future, where life takes me. I also believe that one does not always have to join politics to serve the people. And when I have a chance to serve them, I definitely will and do whatever I can. But I feel it's very, very important to be independent. To have a proper financial standing before you can do something larger and bigger. And seeing Dad and the way his career has been, if you really do the job that he is doing the right way, it's tough. There are a lot of sacrifices. So I want to be very sure that I'm doing reasonably well. And like I said, it doesn't have to be politics to serve the people. There are many ways of doing it, and that we'll take, as the time comes, and see where the future takes us.
Kishore Chandra Deo is like a gigantic tree, strengthening his trunk and spreading the branches, offering shelter and shade for the needy. Now his offspring too are following his footsteps. Kishore Chandra Deo is a tree. He is a forest, a rare dedication to public service without any anticipation. He is the only hope for the tribals in India to save their land. He is the protector of Araku Valley. He saved the region from the bauxite exploiters. He is a ray of hope for those who believe in clean politics. And finally, Vairicharla Kishore Chandra Deo is a king at heart and a beacon for the suppressed and depressed communities in the country.